Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Estiloz with the Spiel on Entertainment, and I'm here with actress Janet Varney to talk about the 10th year anniversary re-release of the comedy horror cult film titled The Selling. Janet, it's a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim. This is a movie I love so much and I'm always happy to talk about. I'm so proud of being a part of it.
Yeah, well, I had a chance to catch it last night and watched it. I really, truly enjoyed it and was wondering, how did I miss this film over the past decade? But I'm better late than never.
You know what? It's just gotten sweeter, funnier, and better in the last 10 years. It's ripened and aged like a beautiful wine. So it's probably better that you waited 10 years and got to
This is true.
enjoy it at the 10-year anniversary.
I wanted to turn it over to you to tell our audience about not only your role in this film, but what the film's about.
It's so much fun. It is a film that my dear friend Gabriel Diani, and his partner Etta Devine had worked on. Had a wonderful director and Emily Friend. These are all people I went to college with. I know it seems like how could I have been out of college for more than 10 years, haha. But indeed, it is the case. And Gabe is one of the funniest people I've ever known. I used to do sketch comedy with him and have since had the opportunity to do plays with him and to be in another film of his that is wonderful. And this was something that, they approached me about, and he told me the plot, and I thought, this is so good and so them. And it is a horror comedy in the truest sense of the word. It's really hard to balance funny and scary. And I
Yeah.
think, and hopefully, Tim, you agree, this movie nails it. It's got heart. There's some really sweet, tender moments. There's some crazy goofball moments and some real suspense. And
Hmm.
this is all coming from a very little indie movie, and it was so impressive to see everybody putting it together. So basically, Gabe plays a realtor named Richard Scarry. If the name sounds familiar, it's because it's very similar to a children's book author that many of us enjoyed pop-up books from.
Of course,
And
fitting for a horror film, so that's pretty
fitting
good.
for a horror film.
Yes.
And he ends up, he needs money. It's that classic conceit of, a good guy who wants to help a family member in need, needs money, takes on trying to sell this house that is pretty clearly haunted right from the jump, and then is also forced to contend with his sort of frenemy nemesis at the realty company, Mary Best, who I have the pleasure of playing.
Hmm.
He meets somebody quirky and adorable along the way, finds a little romance, again, has some great moments with the character of his mom. And it's just a tight, great story that is I think it just works. It works for me in the way that, say, The Frighteners works, in that,
Yes.
that's just one of my favorite horror comedy movies because it just doesn't pull its punches in any direction. And I think it really works for that reason.
And mixing comedy and horror is not always an easy balancing act and not always successful. What do you think were the elements of this film that made it work so well? And was there a challenge in sort of achieving that balance?
Well, I think when the script is great, there's no challenge really, in the sense that it's been baked in for you. I've seen situations or been in situations where it's pretty clear that there isn't that much comedy there, but maybe somebody's trying to recover that or create some on the fly when you're filming. And as much as I'd like to say that that's easy, because I do love to improvise, it's so much better when the writer has really thoughtfully found that pacing, found ways to pull you out of the grip of horror with that funny relief moment. And being scared and being delighted are so similar in that you sort of get this bubbly adrenaline for both. So I think when something can trade off back and forth with that, it just makes the movie fly by. And it's
Mm.
something also that you can watch over and over again because you're always discovering something new there, whether it's on the horror side or the comedy side. So I think script is the tool that you start with, and then you follow that and find people who have great timing and who are also actors who can be honest and aren't playing hard into the comedy, nor are they playing hard into the pathos. They're just showing up and being as authentic as they can in these ridiculous situations.
And one of the cool things about the film for me also is that we have so many horror films that have come out over the years, and they're usually released around Halloween time. And the bodies or the other actors are basically just there for the body count. Whereas the characters in this one, you get involved and invested in them because they have such great personalities.
Absolutely. That is very, very true. And I would say, that's one of those kind of accidental perks of being a tiny movie, right? Is that everybody who shows up, you want them to feel like they need to be there. And that goes for every member of the crew as well as every member of the cast. So if you're doing something and you're not this huge budget where, like you're saying, and that's so true, there is this sort of body count of like, well, we have to, kill off a bunch of people to make it a horror movie.
Yes.
Not so. And so I think that is one of those things that, is almost a byproduct, but ends up being a really key part of what makes the story so good is that, Gabe, they wanted people to feel like they were excited to be a part of what they were doing. And I think that shines through.
Having worked as an ensemble together, or at least together in other forms, it must have been a lot of fun doing not only the script comedy, but there were some moments of some physical comedy that must have been fun to work with.
Gabe is such a gifted and well, Etta is too. Gabe and Etta, they have another wonderful movie called Deani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse, which means something different to a lot of us these days, but is also a great thing to watch. But they are both so comedically gifted in terms of timing and almost clowning the physical stuff that you're not relying on words in those moments. And I think they infused the whole movie with that. Emily was really wanted to kind of lean into that as well in the show, and I love doing that stuff. I think it's the hardest part about moments like that is like not laughing when someone else is
Yeah.
being really funny. That if that's your biggest problem is that you are afraid you're going to ruin someone's take because you're going to start giggling because they are successfully being funny physically,
Hmm.
then you're in pretty good shape. And I remember there was one moment, and this is hopefully Gabe won't mind me saying this because it's one of those like, oh, look at us moments. There's a moment in the movie where he swings an unconscious me over his shoulder and has to carry me. But we both have had like back or neck injuries.
Oh
So
no.
even back then, it was just such a comedy of errors of like him wanting to protect me and make sure I was feeling okay, and me wanting to protect him because he had to carry me. So there was this whole behind the scenes moment that you don't see in the movie of us being like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I feel like I was too limp. I should have helped you along somehow. Janet, I was carrying you. What are you talking about? You're supposed to be unconscious. So a lot of little like friends making a movie together moments that I'll never forget.
We started out talking about this being a sort of cult movie wherein it's got, a following that is built over the years. What are some of the main elements of this film, or the aspects of it that you think has such resonance and such longevity?
Well, I think, I mean, I hate to just keep harping on the script, but I think the comedy is so funny and so smart. And while it doesn't take itself too seriously, it's a very confidently written script. And I know that that's because there was so much work put into it by everybody on the team. But obviously, Gabe was he just wanted it to sing. I mean, that's a cliche, but you do want a comedy script to really sing. And again, to have those moments where, everybody's doing their part. The cinematographer makes sure he catches those little moments where someone has a reaction. And then the editor knows to find that moment and make sure to capture that pacing. And when something is a smaller movie and doesn't get, huge theatrical release, that's when people find it and they feel, and I think that's where the term cult comes from, is like you feel like you found something very special and you want to share it with your friends. It becomes a word of mouth thing. And you feel like you're in this club, this kind of exclusive club. And I think that is something that many of us enjoy. And so when someone tells me that, I'm part of a cult classic or a cult movie, I'm always like, oh my gosh, that's such a compliment, because that is coming from people who, quite frankly, are snobs. And we've won over snobs, and I love it. And I'm a
Excellent.
snob. So I'm a friendly snob, but I'm picky about what I like. So it's really, really lovely to see when people find something and the word spreads more organically than with a huge marketing budget, because it's real. The enthusiasm is real.
Well, again, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I really enjoyed this film, and
Thank you
I'm
too.
hoping that it even picks up an even bigger following as it's with this re-release. Okay.
Thank you for helping spread the word. That means the world to us. I really
Oh,
appreciate it. We all do.
my pleasure. We have been talking with actress Janet Varney about the 10th anniversary re-release of the comedy horror film, The Selling. It's great fun. I say go out and see it. You'll really enjoy it. You'll laugh, you'll be scared, and it'll be a lot of fun.